So now that Summer Game Fest finally ended, we finally got our first proper look at Persona 4 Revival and Persona 6. Overall, it was a pretty satisfying showcase for Atlus fans, and I'm glad that Persona 4 fans will finally get to play their game, now that Free Reload fans also got theirs a while ago. However, overall, if I'm honest, I don't have a lot of excitement for Persona 4, as I've played it twice, once the PS2 version and once Golden, but I will give this a shot. Now, one thing that I do have a very strong opinion about when it comes to 4 Revival is the pricing. I think this game is objectively bad, not even bad, just straight up horrible from a pricing perspective, and it's like borderline a scam at this point. Alright, so right now I opened up Persona Free Reload on Steam, and the base game is basically $60, $59.99, right? Now the issue is, if you want to buy the DLC, the expansion pass, to play the FES content, and for those unaware, Persona 3, it originally came out on the PlayStation 2, then a FES version came out, which was like the extended edition where there was an extra dungeon, an extra storyline. You basically, to play that, now have to pay $35. Which, you might be asking, alright, well, what's the issue? I mean, that system makes sense. Like, you might be asking yourself, well, what's wrong with that system? It's better than re-releasing like a Royal or Golden or whatever special edition like they have done previously. And look, I do agree, theoretically. And the thing is, I actually gave Atlus a chance with Persona 3 Reload because I thought this would be the testing ground. And then when a Persona 4 remake would come out, they'd kind of learn their lessons and kind of make it a better product. However, that's not what I'm seeing at all with Persona 4 Revival. Like, I'd argue a lot of things are actually worse if we start going into the art direction aspect of it especially, but I'll say what is really unforgivable. So as you can see in these screenshots from the trailer, they are showing that they are once again going with randomized dungeons. Now this confuses the living hell out of me because for years, like literally years, I would say more than a decade, it has been talked about on forums that if they were to remake Persona 4, not remaster it like with Golden, that it would become the ideal game once it had proper dungeons like the palaces from Persona 5 where they were, carefully handcrafted, had gimmicks. This has been like for years the topic of discussion, and that's like the one thing they didn't change. Now with Tartarus, look, I'll be honest, Persona 3 isn't my favorite, but with Tartarus, I kind of understood it, even though it was bullshit that they did it there. Like, they should have still done it with the main dungeons during the full moon. But like, I guess I kind of understood it, and again, I was like, alright, well, this is their testing ground remake. But dude, this is just fucking unforgivable. Because think about it, when you buy 5 Royal, or base 5, you get these carefully handcrafted dungeons, and now they're selling you this shit for more basically, but you're getting less. And look, another thing while we're already on this topic, because I'll be honest with you, art direction is important to me, don't get me wrong, music especially, but man, my god, that primetime mechanic they showed off, I have no idea how the hell they're going to balance that. Like, they're gonna need to bring Tim Kaine in on this shit or something. Like, he's gonna need to reawaken his like Fallout 1 balancing mindset to somehow find a solution for this, because I really don't know what they're thinking with how it just completely erases the cost of spells. And it's just, I thought Feargies were bad from Persona 3 Reload, but this is like the kind of shit that it's head scratching. I really don't know what they're doing. I mean, Golden was already kinda mocked for being way easier than Persona 4, and I would argue Persona 4 was the hardest of the modern Persona games. Which I know Free fans are gonna get mad at me for that one, but yeah. And again, like, I really don't know what they're thinking with this. Now, there are some good things, don't get me wrong, about the remake. Not good enough to get to the price they're asking for, but of course they do deserve to be complimented. So one thing, I saw this meme going around Twitter about how when they're gonna remake Persona 5, I don't know if I'll be able to find it when I edit the video, but it was basically just mocking how when they remake Persona 5, it's gonna have more dynamic camera angles. Now I don't understand, it seemed like a hate post, but I mean, I don't really understand why it's a hate post, because I mean, that's one of my favorite things that we've seen from the 4 remake. Like, for example, when Dojima, right, when he's like standing around, it does look like an actual crime drama, like it's more stylized. There are some bad shots, don't get me wrong, but that's like the one thing that they've made better. Or that one shot with like Chie before the boss looks a lot more dynamic. There's like good composition in it. For some reason, the Shadow World has better composition, I've noticed this, but maybe they'll fix it in the final game. One thing I did like from the latest showcase, it was like a small detail, but I liked how the limo that you go into, which is basically the Velvet Room in Persona 4. For a second there, I almost said JoJo Part 4, mixed them up. I mean, I'm sorry, they're just very similar in my mind. But basically, I like how it does like an initial D-type drift, which I think is really cool, because in the original game, you didn't really get an animation. You just kind of went through, and now you're in the limo suddenly, so that's pretty cool. But again, none of this is enough to get to that insane price that they're asking for, especially if that price starts including like some golden content or some other expansion. They just haven't improved enough to make me accept that price. And I just really think it isn't, because you're paying full price and more than full price for something that you're basically gonna be getting less than if you paid for Persona 5 or Persona 5 Royal, right? That's basically where my issue arises. Now, I'll make a comparison with Yakuza Kiwami. Now, Kiwami is basically similar enough to the remake of Persona 4 or even Persona 3, where it's very, very similar to the original game. In Kiwami, I would argue they put in less effort because they used like the mocaps of the original animations. But see, the biggest difference and why I'm praising Kiwami over Persona 4 Remake is that they understood this, and what they did was they priced Kiwami to basically be lower than your standard Yakuza game. So it basically debuted with a price of $29.99, whereas games like Yakuza 0, a full-fledged new mainline game, it went at $59.99. And I think this pricing model makes perfect sense. You get basically the same game, but with some overhauls. I think you should be charging like that amount of money. I guess now with like inflation and stuff, it should be closer to $39.99. But you get my point. It should be lower than a mainline game because you're getting different quality. But yeah, overall, I guess I'll just wait and see. After all, we haven't seen too much of it yet, but I am very doubtful that these things I was criticizing the game for will magically get better, because again, my main criticism is just the fact that you got these randomized dungeons again, poor balancing, just the overall price of the game. So I am very doubtful any of that ends up getting fixed. So yeah, I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments. Maybe there's some things I'm missing out, or I guess I'm overlooking, maybe just being too harsh on specific aspects. And yeah, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next one.